Hello, I'm State Representative Shelley Rudnicki. I represent House District 67, which is Fairfield and Benton.
I'm Representative Gary Drinkwater from District 27, representing 5 towns of Elton, Argyle, Bradford, Corinth, Hudson, and my hometown of Milford. And we would like to talk to you today about guns.
And why you should vote Republican. That's a big one.
Absolutely, Shelley. Shelley, we feel terrible about what happened in Lewiston. It was a tragic event that did not need to happen. As the commission has come out with their findings, they said that it could have been prevented had the Army and our Sheriff's Department followed up with the laws that are already in place. We didn't need more laws, we just needed to act upon the laws we had. So we saw a knee-jerk reaction with the Democrats of who could be the first to put in a bill on restricting guns. Shelley, what did we see for gun bills?
Oh my goodness, we saw everything from, well, the one that passed, the 72-hour waiting period. We've seen getting rid of ARs, anything that you could think of. Basically, they just want no guns at all. And that, to me, is just, first of all, you're talking about Mainers. We do like our guns, folks.
As an avid hunter and outdoorsman, Shelley, I have quite a few guns. I use them.
Right.
I use them for my sport. But Shelley, we had bills in years past, ever since we arrived in 129th, that dealt with banning guns.
Yep.
Every session, we were able to defeat those bills because enough Democrats agreed with us that we're fine, we passed the yellow flag law, we just need to use existing laws. Then we have the shooting. Then we have all these bills come forward. There's an old saying, Shelley, never let a crisis go to waste. This is a prime example of a crisis that they wanted to piggyback on. And I'll give you a prime example. The 72-hour waiting period would not have prevented the Lewiston shooting.
Nope.
But, so what did the Democrats do? They said, oh, that 72-hour waiting period will prevent suicides. Well, I've got news for you folks. I've had cousins that have committed suicide, and they find alternative methods other than a gun. I'll give you a good example, Shelley. Years ago, we had a customer come into our automobile business and wanted to try out a car. My father knew the gentleman. He took that car out into the woods of our town, took a vacuum cleaner hose, stuck it in the rear of the car, in the tailpipe, and let the car run. Folks, suicide should be prevented. We have lots of programs. But to say that a gun bill will slow down suicides, I don't know what reality they're living in, Shelley.
I don't think they are living in a reality. When you stop and think about it, when you start talking gun laws, and the thing that always comes to mind where was the DNC convention this year? Chicago. Chicago has some of the most stringent gun control laws in this country. And you know what? Aren't they the top for murders? Aren't they the top for gun? So, gun laws do not stop the criminals. The gun laws only affect those of us that are law-abiding citizens that want home protection, that want to be able to go hunting or whatever. It's our choice to have it. But when you take a look at the most stringent gun controls and the fact that it doesn't do any good, to me, it's just overcompensating, I guess, is what I want to say, to the reality of what really goes on.
Shelley, the other bill that passed was a federal firearm licensed dealer has to process sales now. That actually is going to kill the gun shows, Shelley.
Oh.
Absolutely. And the Democrats have always accused the gun shows of selling guns without doing background checks. I doubt if they've ever been to a gun show to see that everybody in there, that it's a federal firearm licensed dealer, and that's mainly where they go.
Right.
For these shows, they do the background checks right there. Now, with the 72-hour waiting period, they won't be able to deliver that gun And that bill is so confusing right now that they don't know when the 72 hours starts. And the other side also, Shelley, is if I sell a gun to somebody I don't know, I have to take that gun to the federal licensed dealer, and he has to get the information from me and the buyer, and he has to run a background check on the buyer, and he has to keep that gun in his inventory. If that gentleman or lady does not pass a background check, he then does a background check on me, the owner of the gun. Guess what? If I don't pass that, he keeps the gun. He cannot return it.
I guess that's one of those issues I did not hear about, Gary. I mean, I'm looking at remember the bill that we had to deal with the training, the paramilitary training one that came through
Oh, my
this
word,
year.
Shelley.
I mean, that was
A-
a crazy one.
A knee-jerk reaction to the Nazis buying some land up in Springfield or Lee, Maine, who left after a fashion, and they thought we needed to protect the citizens from these paramilitary organizations.
But did you know you could be a paramilitary? Did you know about this? The one thing crazy to me is if you and I went out shooting, okay, and you trained me on how to shoot, okay, and then I decided to go cause a criminal act, okay, you can be held responsible. Did you know about that's the crazy things that's going on in Augusta?
Folks don't know what's going on in Augusta because mainstream media will not put it out there. Folks, this is just another example of why you need to vote Republicans. If we had a majority in the House or the Senate, we would have stopped those bills. And this would not be the law that just went into effect. So I encourage you to vote Republican in November, and let's stop a lot of this madness. Thank you.
Thank you.